In 2019, Robert Jenrick signed off a review called, it was led by Alison Rose, and it was about trying to encourage women to take a greater role in entrepreneurship. And it points out that only a third of the entrepreneurs in this country are women. That means we're ignoring a vast amount of potential simply based on a gender bias. And treasury, it says, 1.5, is establishing a new code investing in women and encouraging all relevant financial firms to sign up to the code and improve how they fund female entrepreneurs. Well, all of this is very good, except the problem is the scheme was led by Alison Rose, who has been humiliated and who has been exposed as a gossip and a scurrilous leader by the Nigel Farage scandal and by her garrulity. And it's the garrulity and her desperation to cling on to power which is the issue. She's become an embarrassment. And that shouldn't jettison the review that at the moment bears her name. So the government's solution, rather than to reinforce the ideas which are put forward by this review, has decided to take her name off it. This is simply absurd. It's part of this whitewashing approach that if you change the name of something, it means something else. It doesn't. It's still the same thing. And given the fact that she was so stupid in NatWest and in the Coots scandal, this is something that she should be held up for as a celebration. This is something that she should be lauded for. It's not something that she should be stripped of. What has she done in respect to this review that is so faulty? Nothing. And her name is only tarnished in terms of her role in the bank, not in terms of her role in leading a call for more women to be given credit as entrepreneurs, more women to be encouraged in this extraordinary field of creating new jobs and nurturing new jobs. It just makes perfect sense, does it not? To encourage more women to be involved in this nurturing process. Is it not? Women who nurture small babies and who are the first educators in our lives. And it seems to me that entrepreneurship is something which is not a male preserve and never should have been. I don't think it's necessarily a female preserve, but it's certainly not a male preserve, and women in many cases do it better. And Rose, what is her first name? Alison Rose. Alison Rose may have made a mistake. She shouldn't be eternally punished for this. But of course, who is doing this? Kemi Badenough. Kemi Badenoch is part of that group of people who thinks that you're going to improve your own position, you're going to improve your own worth by doing down somebody else. No, she is mistaken and she is foolish. And that's got nothing to do with gender, by the way. It's entirely to do with stupidity and with a perception that being tough or appearing to be tough is actually a token of resilience. Appearing to be tough, using tough language, is not resilience. Resilience is coming up with the goods when there's pressure. And so far, I've seen no evidence of either Kemi Badenoch doing that or Suella Braverman, or indeed Priti Patel doing this. These three are locked together as examples of people in power who think that by talking big, they're actually going to achieve something. And before anybody leaps up and says I'm making some sort of gender statement here, I'm not, because they're joined by people like Robert Jenrick, and for that matter, by others like Jacob Rees-Mogg and so on. Talking big does not mean being big. When faced with a crisis, what do these people do? And the priorities of a crisis are to look after and nurture the things that are good. And in my experience, the people who do that significantly well are those who are looking after children, are those who are looking after the next generation. I would have thought that encouraging more women to be entrepreneurs is the obvious thing to do. And again, not that men cannot look after children, not that men cannot nurture the next generation. Now, Kemi Badenough apparently hasn't got another candidate in mind. Well, why not? Why not? Why get rid of your first person? Why get rid of the incumbent when you haven't got an alternative? It is madness. Alison Rose has said that she's very proud of the Rose Review work and the great progress that's been made, and she should be. And she urged the government to push forward with its work. It's vital for the UK economy that the good work done to date by the Rose Review is built upon, and I hope the government and all those involved will continue to focus on supporting female entrepreneurs. It would be a huge missed opportunity if they didn't do so. Absolutely. But not only should the government be focusing on female entrepreneurs, it should be focusing on entrepreneurs of either gender. It's just that one shouldn't let gender get in the way of creativity in any form. And in order to nurture that, we have to nurture education. Entrepreneurship comes from education and comes from skills, not necessarily your own skills, but knowing where to acquire those skills, knowing where to get the information, having the resources and the networks to get that information. And that's probably one reason why so often in the last 100 years, entrepreneurship has devolved onto men who have made many of the connections. But I can also think of leading women, starting with people like Marie Curie, who have been at the heart of invention, at the heart of the development of new ideas. We just need to make sure there's more of them. We need to make sure that we are not slapping down new ideas and creativity because of stupid things like gender getting in the way. Gender is irrelevant when it comes to new ideas. Gender should be irrelevant when it comes to education. Education and entrepreneurship is about what's in the mind, and is about creativity, is about harnessing the infinite.